Have you ever wondered how much your ego controls your life? It's an intriguing question, isn't it? We often think of the ego as the driving force of our personality, the I in our internal dialogue, but it's more than that. It's a filter through which we interpret the world, shaping our perceptions, our attitudes, and our reactions. The ego can be a powerful ally, boosting our confidence and pushing us to strive for success. But left unchecked, it can also be a tyrant, spurring us into conflicts, blinding us to our faults, and keeping us stuck in unhelpful patterns. Enter Stoicism. This ancient philosophy offers us a different perspective, a way to control the ego rather than being controlled by it. Stoicism encourages us to step back, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, and to choose our actions wisely. If you're interested in learning how to control your ego instead of letting it control you, then you're in the right place. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy, has much to teach us about controlling our ego. Originating from Athens in the 3rd century BCE, Stoicism is a school of Hellenistic philosophy. Its teachings have been handed down to us through the writings of its most notable advocates, Seneca, Epictetus, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism, at its core, is about cultivating a disciplined mind and leading a virtuous life. The Stoics believed that our happiness and peace of mind lie in understanding the natural order of things and aligning ourselves with it. They proposed that by focusing on what is within our control, our actions, judgments, and desires, and accepting what is not, the external world, the actions of others, we can achieve tranquility and freedom from suffering. Now, how does Stoicism view the ego? Well, the Stoics would argue that the ego is a disruptive force, one that distorts our perception of reality and causes us unnecessary suffering. It makes us crave recognition, respect, and power, leading us to act in ways that are not in line with our true nature. It keeps us from seeing ourselves and others as we truly are. Stoicism teaches us to dismantle the ego by focusing on self-improvement, rather than seeking validation from others. By practicing humility and by realizing that we are part of a larger whole, interconnected with all living beings. It invites us to embrace our shared humanity, to acknowledge our limitations, and to strive for wisdom and virtue above all else. In the end, Stoicism is not a rigid doctrine, but a practical guide to living a fulfilling life. It's about understanding our place in the world, accepting the things we cannot change, and making the most of what we can control. And the good news is, Stoicism offers us 7 powerful tricks to help tame our ego. The first Stoic trick is understanding what you can control. Now, this might sound simple, but it's a cornerstone of Stoicism, a philosophy that has stood the test of time. Let's delve a little deeper. You see, the world is full of variables, and many of them are beyond our control. The weather, the economy, other people's opinions, we have no direct influence over these things. And yet, how often do we find ourselves fretting over them, allowing them to affect our mood and self-esteem? This is where the ego comes into play. It thrives on control, on the illusion of being able to shape everything to its liking. Now, the Stoics had a different perspective. They believed in focusing on what is within our control, our actions, our reactions, our attitudes. They saw wisdom in accepting the uncontrollable nature of the world around us and choosing instead to master our internal world. It's about understanding the difference between the things we can change and the things we have to accept. How does this help diminish the ego? Well, think about it. The ego is fed by a sense of importance, a belief that we are the center of the universe. When we acknowledge that there are things beyond our control, we're taking a step back from that egocentric viewpoint. We're accepting that we're not all-powerful, that we're part of a larger, complex world where many things happen outside our sphere of influence. And there's a certain freedom in that realization. It allows us to let go of unnecessary worries and anxieties. It helps us to focus our energy on areas where we can make a real difference, on improving ourselves, on treating others with kindness, on contributing positively to the world in our own unique way. This isn't about passivity or resignation, but about clarity and wisdom. It's about knowing where our true power lies and using it effectively. When we focus on what we can control, we reduce our ego's influence over our lives. We become more grounded, more balanced, and ultimately more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. The second trick is to practice objectivity. Entering the realm of objectivity means stepping outside of our personal biases and viewing situations as they truly are, free from the coloration of our ego. Our ego often paints a distorted picture of reality, one that is influenced by our desires, fears, and prejudices. It is this distorted reality that can throw us off balance, leading to emotional reactions and impulsive decisions. So, how does one practice objectivity? It starts with a mindful pause, a moment of stillness where we consciously choose to step back from our initial emotional response. In this pause, we can ask ourselves, what are the facts of the situation? What is actually happening, devoid of my personal feelings or interpretations? It's in this space that we can begin to see the situation for what it truly is, rather than what our ego has made it out to be. This doesn't mean disregarding our feelings, but rather acknowledging them and then choosing to view the situation from a more neutral standpoint. It's about making a conscious effort to understand the reality outside our personal narrative. In the heat of a moment, it might feel challenging to step into this space of objectivity, but with consistent practice, it becomes a natural response. It's like building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And the stronger it becomes, the more equipped we are to handle life's challenges with grace and rationality. Objectivity also encourages us to listen more and speak less, to observe more and react less. It fosters empathy by allowing us to understand different perspectives, and it strengthens our decision-making by grounding it in facts rather than emotions. Remember, our ego doesn't want us to be objective. It wants us to react, to defend, to assert our rightness. But when we choose to be objective, we choose to see things as they are, rather than through the distorted lens of our ego. Practicing objectivity allows us to see things as they are, not as our ego wants them to be. The third trick to tame your ego is embracing humility. Humility, in the grand tapestry of Stoic philosophy, plays a critical role. It is the quiet whisper that reminds us of our place in the universe, a place that is significant yet small, impactful yet transient. It is the gentle nudge that encourages us to step back from our own self-importance and recognize that we are but one thread in a larger weave. Humility is the Stoic's compass, guiding us away from the rocky shores of arrogance and towards the calm waters of understanding and acceptance. It is the realization that we are not the center of the universe, but rather a part of it. This understanding is liberating. It allows us to let go of our need for control, our desire for recognition, and our fear of insignificance. But how does one embrace humility? It begins with self-awareness, with acknowledging our strengths and accepting our weaknesses. It involves understanding that our value is not determined by external validation, but by our actions and intentions. It requires us to be open to learning from others, to listen more than we speak, and to appreciate the value of different perspectives. Embracing humility also means recognizing the limits of our knowledge. The world is vast and complex, and no matter how much we learn, there will always be more we don't know. This is not a cause for despair, but rather a call to curiosity, a reminder to remain open-minded and continually seek to expand our understanding. Humility is the antidote to an inflated ego. It is a reminder to keep our feet firmly planted on the ground, even as we reach for the stars. It encourages us to approach life with a sense of wonder and gratitude, to appreciate the beauty in simplicity, and to find fulfillment not in what we own or achieve, but in who we are and how we treat others. So no matter where you are on your Stoic journey, remember to embrace humility. It will not only help keep your ego in check, but it will also enrich your life in ways you may never have imagined. Humility is the antidote to an inflated ego. The final 4 Stoic tricks involve accepting change, practicing discomfort, reflecting on mortality, and living according to nature. Let's begin with accepting change. This principle revolves around the truth that change is a constant and necessary part of life. The world and everything within it is in a constant state of flux. By accepting this inevitable reality, we can release the ego's desire for control and permanence. The ego often clings to the familiar, the comfortable, and the predictable. But when we accept change as a natural law of life, we free ourselves from the ego's grip and open ourselves to the endless possibilities that change brings. Moving on to the second principle, practicing discomfort. This Stoic trick might sound a bit unconventional, but it's a powerful way to keep the ego in check. The ego loves comfort. It thrives in the status quo and rejects anything that might disrupt its sense of security. However, by intentionally practicing discomfort, we challenge the ego's dominance. This could be as simple as taking a cold shower in the morning, fasting for a day, or pushing ourselves beyond our perceived limits in a workout. By exposing ourselves to discomfort, we learn to endure, adapt, and ultimately grow. This growth diminishes the ego's hold on us, making us more resilient and grounded. Next, we have reflecting on mortality. The ego's power lies in its ability to make us believe in our own immortality, in the illusion of endless tomorrows. But Stoicism reminds us of the harsh yet liberating truth. We are mortal. Our time here is finite. Reflecting on this fact can be incredibly humbling. It puts things into perspective, highlights what truly matters, and strips the ego of its illusions. By acknowledging our mortality, we learn to live more fully in the present, appreciate the transient beauty of life, and let go of the ego's futile quest for eternal significance. Lastly, we have the principle of living according to nature. This doesn't mean abandoning civilization and retreating into the wilderness. Rather, it means living in harmony with our true nature and the nature of the world around us. The ego often drives us to act against our nature, pushing us towards artificiality and pretense. But living according to nature involves authenticity, simplicity, and acceptance of our inherent human qualities. It means embracing our strengths and weaknesses, our passions and fears, our joys and sorrows. It means respecting the natural world, recognizing our place within it, and understanding that we are not separate entities, but part of a greater whole. This realization can dissolve the ego's sense of separation and superiority, leading us towards a more balanced and harmonious existence. These Stoic tricks guide us to live a life less controlled by our ego and more in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. By accepting change, practicing discomfort, reflecting on mortality, and living according to nature, we can weaken the ego's grip, foster self-awareness, and cultivate a deeper connection with the world. As we journey through life, these Stoic principles serve as valuable tools to navigate the challenges we face and guide us towards a more centered, peaceful, and fulfilling existence. The benefits of applying these Stoic principles to control ego are manifold. Let's take a quick journey back through the 7 Stoic tricks we've discussed. First, understanding what we can control frees us from the turmoil of trying to manipulate the uncontrollable. It pulls us back into the driver's seat of our lives and allows us to focus our energy where it truly matters. Next, practicing objectivity helps us see the world as it is, not as we fear or wish it to be. This clear-eyed view leads to better decision-making and less emotional turbulence. Our third trick, embracing humility, is a powerful antidote to the ego's puffery. It grounds us, reminding us that we are not the center of the universe, and in doing so, it fosters respect and empathy for others. Moving on, accepting change, our fourth trick, helps us navigate life's inevitable ups and downs with grace. It reduces anxiety and fosters resilience. Practicing discomfort, the fifth trick, builds mental and emotional toughness. It teaches us that we can endure hardship and, in fact, grow from it. Reflecting on mortality, our sixth trick, puts everything into perspective. It reminds us of the fleeting nature of life, encouraging us to live fully and authentically. Lastly, living according to nature, our final trick, reconnects us with the world and our place within it. It promotes a sense of peace and harmony. Each of these Stoic principles, when applied, can lead to increased peace of mind, better decision-making, and improved relationships. They help us to step outside of our ego, to see the bigger picture, and to navigate life with wisdom and grace. By controlling our ego with Stoicism, we can lead more fulfilling, balanced, and peaceful lives. The power lies in your hands.